Back in 2005, I was living alone in a small house a few towns away from where I live now. I had taken a few days off work and spent most of my time relaxing at home. A heavy rainstorm rolled through the area. Around 10 p.m., I was sitting on my front porch watching the rain pour down. The neighborhood was quiet and almost every house had gone dark for the night. Then I heard my landline ringing. I walked inside and checked the caller ID. Unknown caller. I ignored it and went back outside. Normally, rainy nights were relaxing for me, but after sitting there for a few more minutes, I suddenly started feeling uneasy. Nothing had changed around me, but the atmosphere felt wrong. The feeling only got stronger. After half an hour, I gave up and went inside. A little later, the phone rang again. Same caller. I picked up the receiver for a second, but decided not to answer. By 11 p.m., the storm had intensified. Thunder echoed in the distance while rain hammered the roof. I was watching television when loud knocking suddenly rattled the front door. The sound nearly made me jump off the couch. I slowly walked over and looked through the peephole. Outside stood a man dressed entirely in black. A hood covered most of his face, and he appeared to be leaning toward the door as if he was trying to listen to what was happening inside. Something about him felt completely wrong. I quietly picked up the phone and started dialing 911. Before I could finish, a loud crash hit the door. The entire frame shook. Then it happened again. This wasn't knocking anymore. The man was trying to force his way inside. Realizing I had only seconds, I abandoned the phone and hid in a small bathroom down the hallway. Moments later, I heard the front door burst open. The sound of rain became much louder. For nearly a minute, I heard nothing else. Then slow footsteps echoed through the house. The stranger moved from room to room without rushing. Eventually, I heard him walk toward the front entrance again. The door closed. For a brief moment, I thought he had left. Then I heard footsteps returning down the hallway. He walked right past the bathroom where I was hiding and headed upstairs. For the next 15 minutes, I sat completely still. The stranger never came back down. Then, through the sound of rain, I heard voices outside. Police department. I immediately rushed out. 2 officers were standing on the porch. After explaining what happened, they carefully searched the house. Upstairs, they found the intruder lying comfortably on the master bed as if he owned the place. A knife and a handgun sat on a nearby dresser. The man was arrested, but he never explained why he had entered my home. To this day, I still don't know whether I was specifically targeted or simply chosen at random. But one thing is certain. If I had answered the door that night, things could have ended very differently. Last week, my mom left for one of her regular work trips, leaving me alone at the house for a few days. At first, I didn't think much of it. I had the place to myself, my gaming setup upstairs, and no responsibilities beyond keeping the house in one piece. The following Saturday, a storm moved into town. Rain fell steadily all day. I stayed inside watching videos and playing games until the gloomy weather started making me tired. Around 2 p.m., I stretched out on the couch downstairs and ended up taking a nap. When I woke up, the house was darker than before. The storm clouds had thickened, and the rain was coming down even harder. But what actually woke me up wasn't the weather. It was whistling. A soft tune drifted from outside. At first it sounded distant, but it slowly got closer. Then it stopped right outside the front door. I sat up and listened. Nothing. No footsteps. No doorbell. No knocking. Just silence. Curious, I walked over and looked through the window. A man was standing on my porch. He wasn't carrying any packages. He wasn't wearing a work uniform. He just stood there under the overhang, staring at the front door. For several minutes, he didn't move. I kept waiting for him to knock. He never did. Eventually, he glanced around, stepped back into the rain, and started whistling again as he walked away. The whole thing felt strange. I tried to ignore it. Around 7 p.m., I went upstairs to my room. A few friends got online, and we spent the evening gaming together. By the time everyone logged off, it was close to 1 a.m. I crawled into bed and quickly fell asleep. An hour later, I woke to a loud thump. At first, I thought I was dreaming. Then it happened again. The sound came from the window beside my bed. I sat upright. Another thump. Someone was throwing something at the glass. I carefully pulled back the curtain. A man stood outside below the window. Rain poured over him. His face was hidden in darkness. I watched him reach into his pocket and toss another object at the glass. Click. The impact made me flinch. The stranger continued doing it over and over. My heart started racing. I stepped away from the window and tried to think. Maybe I could get a picture of him for the police. That seemed like a good idea at the time. I hurried downstairs and moved toward a side window. The moment I looked outside, I realized something was wrong. The tapping upstairs had stopped. Everything outside was silent except for the rain. Seconds passed, a terrible feeling settled into my stomach. Then suddenly, a figure exploded from the darkness. The man slammed directly into the window, only a foot away from me. The glass cracked instantly. I stumbled backward in shock. A second later, the window shattered. I ran into the living room and called 911. Outside, the stranger began yelling, "Hello!" His voice sounded rough and distorted. He moved from window to window, pounding on the house. Each impact made me jump. The dispatcher stayed on the line while officers rushed to my location. Thankfully, they arrived fast. The man was still outside when the police cars pulled into the driveway. The moment he saw the flashing lights, he took off running toward a wooded area behind the neighborhood. The storm made tracking him impossible. Police searched the area but never found him. My mom flew home the next morning. Officers interviewed us multiple times over the next few days, but nobody could explain what had happened. Did the stranger know I was home alone? Had he been watching the house? Or was I simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? I still don't know. And honestly, that's the part that bothers me the most. The fact that someone could appear out of nowhere, target a random house, and disappear again